and today we're having a look at Paperbound on the PS4. It's also coming out on PC on March the 31st, and well, little disclaimer here first of all, this is primarily a multiplayer game, in fact entirely a multiplayer game, and a multiplayer locally. This isn't one of your fancy online multiplayers like a lot of indie games that are about. Budgets mean this is a local only multiplayer game, and I'm the only person here. I'm the only person in the house today. So this is just going to be a little look at what you can play as a solitary human being, because as well as that, share play doesn't work well with streaming and all the rest of it. So let's play a little bit and you can see what it's all about. Just have a classic versus match here. Happily, there are bots to play as, and so that's good. You can also play as some characters of the game's own, and some characters from games like Monaco, and indeed Guacamelee, Cards and Castles there, Tumblestone, I haven't even heard of that, and VVVVVVVVV. So I'm going to be Juan from Guacamelee. They basically, I think, all the differences purely cosmetic between the characters, which is a bit of a shame. I'd kind of like to see a little bit more in the way of different handling, but there you go. The idea is that each of the battles that happen take place in these books. So we're going to choose one book over here. And best for any number of players. There's sort of 3 or 4 maps within each book, and there's a nice little hey recommended for this number of players guide in there, so it's like, oh, there's only 2 of you, well, try playing on this map. It's not a complete restriction, but it is sort of there. Up to 4 players, and any number of those can be human or AI, so we're going to choose just one AI bot here, just to give you some idea of what's going on. So as you play, you're going to run around, you can jump, and I can also invert gravity by hitting triangle. Whee! And you have a melee attack, which is in my case styled after that guy in Guacamelee's melee attack. And you also have these scissors, which I can use the right stick to throw at my opponent. And nicely covering that, yeah, and there we go, touche. And a large ink bomb, which I hold down L2 to prepare and then throw up, and then it'll fall down. And that does nothing, but you get 1 per life of those. But if the other guy throws his scissors and I can recover them, then believe me, I can have as many of those as I want to. No. It's a little bit. The AIs, I think, is being kind to me here. But, and yeah, I mean that's basically it. It's sort of kill people until you get to the pre-prescribed kill limit. But then it does get a little bit interesting after that, because that's not all, as we shall see. Here you go, I've got 2 pairs of scissors now. Hurrah! One thing you should see is, well, I mean, I'm talking over things, and I am being generally crap, but the AI is fairly forgiving. It's not, I mean, a couple of things that make this, as ever, you just can't get anything like this if you're just on your own. Be warned, you can play this on your own, but it's not particularly good. The AI's not all that great, and there's just, I mean, it's just lacking really as a single player experience. I think seriously, there's lots of maps in this, and there's the idea of the different books within the game, each giving the maps a different sort of theme and feel, and there's lots of different characters as well. So it seems to me, okay, so here's, I'll hold that thought. So I've reached the kill count now, and an exit door has opened. So if I want to win, I have to get through that exit. But if I get killed in the meantime on the way to the exit, then the exit closes and I have to get one more kill. So that's kind of cool. It has, in that respect, a little bit of a Nidhogg kind of aspect to it, where it's not just about the kill, it's about the chase and getting to your goal point there. But there you go, I win, hooray! Let's choose something a little bit busier. Yeah, I mean, just the fact that you had these themed worlds and these themed books and things like that, it kind of seems like, you know, it would be best to have best for 4 players. Let's have a busier game here. You know, it seems like they could have made a campaign to tie all this stuff together, but it isn't. And I can understand that the realities of time and money can get in the way of that when people really only want to play in multiplayer. But being someone antisocial, it is nice to have a single player mode in there to go along with it. But even if you're predominantly going to be playing in multiplayer, but there you go. It is just the idea of it, a lot of fun though, and I've had a fair bit of fun with it, playing with one other person. I haven't been able to play 4 player just yet, but it's easy enough. I mean, the key thing is it's easy enough for anybody to pick up, yet it's kind of, the fact that you have ranged as well as melee attacks, and I have to really aim over and not get killed. I'm gonna make it, it is layered enough, and you do have this exit tear gimmick is really what kind of makes the game when you're playing with a lot of other enemies. Either if you're playing with 4 humans or 2 humans and 2 AI, it kind of makes the end game pretty exciting, which is cool. Because it kind of means that, even there is the cheeky bastard factor of, even if you're crap, then on any given day kind of thing, you can win. If you're canny about offing people before they get to their exits. Notice it seems each time that at least one of the AI players is cannily camping near the exit tear, so they stop people getting through. I often forget. A key thing is to use your ranged attacks and fling your scissors at people with the right stick, or use your ink bomb. I'm kind of rubbish with the ink bombs. It is pretty important to master those. It's also kind of easily forgotten that you have them. I was kind of dominating earlier on in this. I'm really doing quite badly. I'm a long way off the lead here. So, although... What? Okay. Yeah, come on, Mr. Don. There you go. So although there is a sort of kill count initially, a kill target that you want to get to, that everybody's achieving, now everybody's gotten well past 10. So I think if you want your exit to open up, you are just going to have to get into the lead. And I'm a long way off the lead now. I was kind of distracted for a while there. There is some slight issues, I think, with the more zoomed out maps and the larger maps for designed for 4 players. It is kind of hard to keep track of which one you are. Because these 4-player maps are a lot more zoomed out, and it is a little bit harder to keep track of what's going on. It's not too bad, but it can get a little bit irritating there. And yeah, everybody's sort of attacking with pencils and scissors and things, and you've got the game called Paperbound. It doesn't really do that much with its paper gimmick. I don't even think from an art style perspective it seems, I think they could have done more with the pen and paper idea, but still. So you've got classic versus in there, survival, which is the last person. You start with like 5 lives or whatever. Long Live the King, I think, is a pretty cool game mode here. So it's kind of I don't know, a King of the Hill style gimmick. Let's turn that victory count way down to 5. It's a little bit shorter. And I think we'll have that. So the idea of, with this one is that you have one player that's the king. If you kill the king, then you get to become the king. To be the man, you have to beat the man, kind of thing. And then you've got to stay the king for as long as possible. By being cheesy and running around as I'm doing over here. Got 2 points there. Pretty good. But again, it's not enough just to be the king for long enough. You then have to get to your prescribed exit. Here we go. Yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of any complaints that I have with it, with Paperbound, it seems to be more along the lines of, kind of disliking what it isn't as opposed to what it is. It would be nice to see a little bit more in the way of sort of single player content just for me, but I mean, even beyond that, it would be nice if the characters sort of handled a little bit differently, and there was a little bit of nuance when it came to that. Of course, I get the idea on the other hand that is like, they want things to be more welcome to any game like this. Any game that's focused on local multiplayer kind of has to be friendly to non-gamers, people who don't normally play games. As soon as you add too much in the way of nuance between every single character handling very, very differently, then it kind of it loses a little bit of accessibility, I think. This is pretty accessible. I was playing this with my wife, who is not a big gamer by any stretch, and we were having a fun old time. Okay, managed to get 5 points, but I guess that's 6 points by this point. In here, Monaco Man. Monaco not on the PS4, but you could be a Monaco Man and pretend to be a man. Monaco on your PS4. I always quite wanted to play Monaco, but it never came to a platform that I could be bothered to hook up. Come here. Ah. Okay. Stay away. Ah. See, I kind of like this the king mode in particular, because there's an emphasis on the chase element of the game as opposed to the combat. I kind of think the chase aspect of it, which, as happens when everybody's trying to get to the exit, I think that's actually the most fun that the game gets. As opposed to the simple, hey, beat everybody up. I'm doing terribly in these so far. But yeah, so that's basically the lot of it. You've got sort of those free-for-all modes. You've also got a few team modes. Classic team versus classic survival along with the king, same as before. And the other one is capture the quill, which is purely for 4 players. So the AI is going to fill up the rest of these characters. And let's get this. Let's set that all the way down to 3, I think. And oh, I hate that map. Is pretty terrible. Well, I'll show it to you. Show you why it's pretty terrible. So the last book has stages with lots of environmental hazards in. So if I touch those bloody walls, then I'm instantly dead. But yeah, catch the quill is capture the flag mode, basically, where I've got to catch. And I'm doing terribly because I'm doing a bad job of keeping track of which character's mine. You gotta capture the other person's pen and bring it back to your base. And I'm already doing terribly here. Okay, there we go. There we go. Continue. There we go. Wonderful. There we go. And your AI teammate, very variable when it comes to the quality of the AI in that regard. But yeah, it's fun. It's definitely not perfect by any means, and it's always, I kind of think, taking time to play it on your own and play against bots, it gives you a lot of pause to sort of examine the mechanics of it that normally you kind of skip over any kind of flaws when you're playing with lots of people, because playing with lots of people is instantly an awful lot better. I think for this game's part, it does get confusing when there are like 4 people on screen at once, because the camera zooms out an awful lot. It can be sort of easy to to look away from the screen for an instant, and then when you look back, it's like, oh shit, which one am I? And that can be extremely distracting. But there's definitely a lot of fun to be had, and it's just, I think even if you are playing on your own, there's you can have a fun little time with it. Just there is no structure to it, so I mean, you are going to see, if you are playing on your own, you are going to see everything the game has to offer very, very quickly. But I think that's it. The bot matches are fun enough, and the game's cheap enough. I think the game's coming out at $10 if I'm right, and I kind of think at that price it is sort of justifiable to have around as a game that you have in the background, and you play around with it, and then it's there and sits on your hard drive, not to play every day, but when friends are around and you've got a few spare minutes, it's like, oh, I'm gonna have a bit of a go on Paperbound, in that Nidhogg sense. But this sort of accommodates larger parties of up to 4, whereas Nidhogg was only 2 people, and of course you got share play and that kind of stuff. You can connect to Vita with remote play and use that as a controller if you want, so it's reasonably accommodating. But yeah, that's Paperbound. So beware, if this video wasn't the most exciting, but just me on my own here, so you just had a look at what you can play on your own, basically. But yeah, multiplayer is definitely where it's at in this one. It's coming out on PS4 and PC on March the 31st, and yeah, seems like a pretty decent little game. Chris John for KGPop.com. Thanks for watching. Bye.